Hello and welcome back to Crafted by Corie. If you're new, I'm Corie. Welcome to my channel. If you are returning, thank you as always for being here. I appreciate you more than I can say. Super excited. Today is Minis Challenge Day. There is going to be a whole playlist full of inspiration. But for now, let's go ahead and get right on into the crafting. DIY number one. I have a little crate, a mini crate from the Dollar Tree that I am going to be starting with antique wax and giving this a good coat all over. I pulled out a baby white from my stash, and like I said, I'm just going to coat the outside and the inside completely with the antique wax. And so it's kind of stained all over. And then I have just a decal that I had cut out with my Cricut Joy. This is something that you can do in different ways. You know, I'm going to be doing a reverse stencil, kind of, so to speak. So there are other ways that you can do this. If you don't have a vinyl cutter, you could certainly opt to trace an image on or use a stencil, but I'm essentially transferring it onto my transfer tape. I'm going to apply this to the side of the crate here. And then I'm going to be grabbing out my Adirondack white chalk paint. But first, I'm just trying to make sure I've got it all nice and lined up. I want my word to be straight. It's just a little bunny. It says Easter. Well, I guess you can see that. Oh, goodness. Burnishing it, making sure that it's down nice and solid because I don't want to have any leakage with my paint. So once I had that adhered, I grabbed out a chippy brush and my Adirondack white chalk paint, and I'm just gonna go over it. I wanted it to look a little bit distressed. I don't want to fill in the whole thing here. Like, I want some of the stained wood to show through, but at the same time, I want to make sure I've got enough definition around the edges of the decal that I applied so that when I pull it up in a moment, you'll be able to see the word and you'll be able to see the bunny. I probably went a little heavier on the paint than I needed to, but I mean, I think it turned out nice. So once I had that on, I did go ahead and right away I grabbed my little weeding tool. I didn't want to wait until the paint was dry because I was afraid with the wax on the wood that it would end up pulling up paint in the areas that I didn't want it removed. So I just want to make sure that I pulled it up while the paint was still wet. I don't know whether it would have done that or not, but I opted to be safe rather than sorry. And it worked out really, really nicely. And those little grooves in the crate helped with getting my weeding tool in there. So now I'm just taking some Spanish moss. This is from a large package that I had gotten at the Hobby Lobby a ways back. I've been using this in a ton of different projects. It's been really lasting a long time. I've been pleasantly surprised. Excuse me. Because I think the whole pack was something like $7.99. So yeah, it was definitely a good deal. And now I am just dropping in some little Easter eggs. I've had these in my stash for a while, but you could put anything in here. You could put little candies in here, like wrapped candies, right? You don't want to be throwing in unwrapped candies in the moss, but any little decorative things. You could do flowers or really whatever your heart desires. But I think this turned out super cute. I hope you do too, but take a look at it here in just a second and let me know what you think. So as I mentioned, today is Minis Challenge Day. I am so excited to see all the inspiration. There is a complete playlist. Check out my description box. And DIY number two. All right, I've got some more Easter eggs. These are from the Dollar Tree, and some little glass beads also from the Dollar Tree, and my Adirondack white chalk paint. I'm just opening up the eggs and dropping in, I think I did 3 of the little glass beads or glass stones for each of them. And then I'm just using some hot glue to secure them into the bottom just so that they don't move around. These are basically creating weeble wobbles. Do you guys remember those? Weebles wobble, but they don't fall down. I'm like aging myself now. But once I had the eggs secure, I gave them a couple of good coats of the chalk paint, and now I am going to use my Sharpie to draw sweet little faces on here. I'm starting with the eyes, and then I'll do the little mouth, and I think I did little eyelashes. Oh, whiskers. I forgot about the whiskers. And I'll do little eyelashes on this one, and then on one of the others. And I think I did eyebrows on the third one. And once I get all of the black little faces, the black parts of the faces filled in, I'll come in with now a pink marker. This is just a marker I picked up from the Dollar Tree. It's supposedly metallic, but I don't know. It just looks like pink on here to me. So I'm creating the little nose. And if you notice, I had, when I was painting, left those holes available to me. We are going to be using those little holes in the tops of the eggs in just a moment. I've got this wire jute cord, and this is a scrap of it that I had from another project that I ended up taking apart. But I am going to be creating little loops with it. I'm trimming away some of the jute cord from the wire, and then I'm going to create my loop. I want exposed wire on both ends. So what I had started doing was exposing the wire on one end, cutting my little section, and then sliding the jute cord down along the wire, so I was wasting less of the jute part. I don't know if that's making sense, but I'm just twisting the two wires together, trimming off the excess with my wire cutters, and then I'm going to, using my needle nose pliers, just making sure that it's nice and tight and secure. But then I am going to kind of press it down into the little hole on the top of the egg. So creating little ears. I just think that these are absolutely adorable, and it's such an easy little craft to do. It didn't take a lot of time. The longest amount of time was waiting for the paint to dry, you guys. So once I made sure that everything was going to look the way I wanted it, I grabbed my hot glue and kind of stuck the little wire into the hot glue gun to get just a nice little coating of glue on it so it wasn't overwhelming, and then tucked it right back into the hole, and that was it. How cute is that? I love it. I did the same thing with the others. Just made sure that I had a sufficient amount of glue, but not too much, because I didn't want it oozing out all over the little head. And here I needed a little bit more. I think I tried to manipulate it. And anyway, let me know what you think of these. DIY number 3. All right, I have these little moss bunnies from the Dollar Tree, a little gift bag that I had left over from something, and this other little I don't know, wall hanging. I think it might be from the Dollar Tree, but I think it actually was sent to me by my sweet subscriber, Rose. She has sent me several packages of crafting supplies that she has decided she doesn't need any longer. So thank you again, Rose. And I'm cutting down the gift bag. I'm looking for a section of this that I can pop into the wall hanging to cover up the image that is presently there. So I had measured the inner dimensions. I think it was like 3¼ inches, but whatever piece you're using, you're going to want to make sure that you take your own measurements, because I'm sure all of the different pieces, even of similar style, like if you were to find the same thing at the Dollar Tree, I'm not sure if it would be the exact dimensions. So you'd always want to just measure it to be sure. So I'm creating a little square on here. I should have pulled out my square just to make sure I was getting right angles, but I eyeballed it and it ended up being just fine. I did cut it a little bit larger, and I did that purposely because I can always remove more of the paper, but I can't put it back on once I cut it, right? So I wanted to make sure that it was going to be the appropriate size. So I just trimmed it a little bit at a time until I had it where I wanted it. And now it fits nicely. So I'm gonna pop it out again, add in some hot glue. I'm just kind of running the tip of it along to try and flatten out the glue so I don't have a big glob of glue on the surface, if that makes sense. And now I am just picking out the bunny that I want to use. The one that was sitting upright was a little bit too tall, so I'm using the other one that you can see there. It's kind of like crouched down. Then I decided I wasn't crazy about the wood tone of the frame. I decided I wanted to paint it white. It wasn't a big deal. It definitely would be easier if you painted it first, right? But I had already planned on adding in a jute cord kind of trim around the inside to cover up the edges of the paper. So I wasn't super concerned with trying to paint it with the paper there because those little areas were going to get covered up anyway. I was just super careful not to hit the paper that would be visible with paint. So anyway, here I'm coming in with the jute cord. You might have noticed that I started at the center of the top because my plan is to have some sort of little bow or knot or something at the top. So I worked my way around with my hot glue, trimmed it off so that it tucked in the same at the same location at the top, so it kind of met where I had started. And now I'm going to try and figure out if I'm doing a knot or a bow. I started thinking a knot, and I was like, let me see what a bow might look like. And as I manipulated and played with it, I was like, I think it's going to be too bulky. It wasn't quite the look that I was going for. And so I ended up undoing that, and I went right back to the knot again. So I'm sorry I'm a little off camera here, but I tied my knot. I trimmed off the end, cut it down, and just added that to the seam at the top of the picture. I don't know what even to call this. Shadow box? I don't know. But then I just went ahead and secured my little bunny, and now I have my cute little thing, and you can hang this on a wall or it'll stand on your tray, but let me know what you think. And now it's time for a shout out timeout. Sweet Susan, I love this tray with all these elements. Thank you so much for sharing. Pretty Jamie, this is just so nice. I love this. And cute Christine, this screams spring, all those beautiful little flowers. And beautiful Valerie, she has been busy. Those bunnies are absolutely beautiful. And nice Kathy, these are fantastic. I really appreciate you all sharing with us. I would love to give you a shout out as well. If you have interest, just send me an email at craftedbycorie@gmail.com. DIY number 4. All right, I have some more Easter eggs here, and then some more of those glass beads, and some tissue paper. And I thought the striped design might be fun. First of all, I'm going to cut these eggs in half, essentially. I'm just cutting the little hinge on the eggs. And I was thinking at first that I was only going to be using the bottoms of the eggs, the flatter part, but then I kind of wondered, well, if I put the little glass beads in the tops, what might it do? And it actually stabilized those as well. So I ended up being able to use all 6 pieces for this project. So I went ahead and dropped my little glass beads into the bottom of these. I think I only used 1 in the flatter ones and then 2 in the curvier ones. So the top's got 2, the bottom's got 1, and just gonna go ahead and use my hot glue to secure all of those beads again in the bottoms. So while they were cooling, I went ahead and grabbed my tissue paper, and I'm gonna cut a strip that should be wide enough to kind of wrap the egg halves. So now that I've got 6 little halves to work with, I'm gonna need 6 little pieces of the tissue paper. So I'm cutting a second strip about the same width. It doesn't need to be exact. You know, I just eyeballed all of this, right? Because we're actually gonna be trimming off excess anyway. So cutting it into thirds, each of these pieces, so that I have a total of 6 little squares. And now I'm gonna go and try and start wrapping these up. Now, this is kind of my process, you guys. I try something, if I don't like the way that it's working, I don't usually give up on it right away. I will kind of work with it and try and figure out, you know, I'll adjust as I go and try and see if I can get it to work one way or another. So that first time you saw me just wrapping it all, this time I trimmed it, and now I'm trying to like create pleats and stuff. I just wasn't happy with the way that the exterior of it was looking. It was kind of bunched up, and you know, there were kind of gaps, and I don't know. I wasn't thrilled with it. So I haven't given up yet though. I'm trimming it, trying to make it a little bit rounder, more circular. I'm gonna keep on doing this. This time I'm trying at one side, and I'm gonna start wrapping it all the way around, and from that point until I, you know, find my way around to the starting point. That worked a little bit better. Like each time it was working a little bit better, but I still wasn't satisfied. And then it occurred to me that I might be able to flip the egg half upside down and kind of smoosh the tissue paper over the top of it. So that's what I'm gonna do next. So here I'm thinking about it, and I'm like, what can I do? So I'm just smoothing it out with my fingers, and you can see already that it is so much smoother doing it this way. I'm not sure why, but I smoothed it down over the egg, grabbed it up, I had it bunched up, and then I just trimmed off a bunch of the extra. Here I'm doing it again, and this worked so much better. They looked so much better this way that I actually ended up redoing the original 3 once I had the second 3 together. So it goes to show, if you just stick with something and make minor adjustments and think about different ways that you can approach something, you're bound to come up with a solution one way or another. So here I am, I'm going to redo the others. I'm not going to show you all of that, but just showing that, you know, in crafting, plan B, plan C, you know, sometimes a plan D, E, F, but you're not necessarily tied into something that you started with. You can always kind of salvage it and have a do-over. So once I had them all wrapped, I am going to grab out some more of my Spanish moss, and here I am cutting it again. I find it easier to cut it. It tends to not want to like be able to pull apart. It's very sturdy, this moss. So I'm kind of taking little pieces of it and rolling it up together, dropping it inside my little eggs. You can see when you do pull it apart, it tends to shed quite a bit, but that's okay because we're just salvaging those little extra pieces and dropping them inside our egg. But it definitely is easier to just kind of trim off the pieces that you need. So getting these all done and all filled in. And these actually ended up really screaming spring to me. I love these little eggs. I think they're adorable. And you can, you know, Mod Podge them if you would rather. So decoupage them. You don't have to do it the way that I did. I just wanted to try something different. But once I had them all set, I grabbed some flowers out of my stash. These happen to be from the Hobby Lobby. I've had them for quite some time. And I'm just going to grab some of the strands, stalks, pieces. I don't know. I'm at a loss for words right now. But I'm just going to take a few of the sprays, maybe that's what it is, of the flowers, and then I'm going to literally trim them down. I'm after these individual little flowers because I want to have little buds planted, so to speak, in each of my little eggshells or egg halves. So once I had a bunch of them trimmed down, I started placing them in here. I just trimmed the little stems down until they were about the right height for what I was looking to achieve. And I thought I was going to do just 3 in each at first, but then when I started doing it, I decided it needed a little bit more. So I ended up putting 5 little blooms in each of the halves that I did multiples. And then you're going to see in a second that I opted to do some of them with those larger pink flowers, like that dusty rose kind of color. So here I'm doing that for this one. So trimming that down a little bit more and just popping that right in. I think these are super cute, but you'll have to let me know what you think. I did half and half, and I've got them all lined up here in just a moment so you can see them close up and see the finished product. But let me know what you think. And here we are with the final reveal. Okay, everybody, that's it for today. If you enjoyed the project, please remember to give me a big thumbs up, leave me a comment, let me know which one was your favorite, and remember there is a whole playlist full of inspiration, so I hope you'll go and check out those other crafters videos and give them some love. And until the next time, be well, be kind, and make it a great day. Thank you so much for watching. Take good care. Bye.